All right, folks. So, one of the things that we've got is a labeling, a book of labeling. Okay, wire marker book, A to Z, 0 to 90. Okay, and we'll have all these different letters so that we can mark one end of a wire than the other end, and that way we can keep up with, what wire we're dealing with as we wire all this stuff, because it is going to be a large amount of wires. Let me tell you, several wires. Now, the headlight. I took the headlight apart the other night. I didn't videotape it, didn't see the point, to get to the bulb. And like I was telling you, now that is a single element bulb, and it only has 2 wires to operate it. Okay, and so I ordered a double bulb with high and low beam. Okay, but I've never done a conversion from that type of bulb to this type of bulb, so I didn't really know what to order. And I ended up getting the wrong bulb. Okay, as far as the size of it, the base will not fit down in there. But I think we'll probably go ahead and use it anyway, because it goes through there, I think, adequately. Okay, and I'm sure that I could probably rig something up to hold this bulb in. And then one day we'll get the right LED bulb that fits this type of light, if they even make that. I would think that they would. And I thought about just, I could cut some of this metal off of there and it would fit, even better. But I say even better. This has got a step. It goes down in there as far as the other bulb goes down in there anyway, as you can see. So why cut that off? If we can make it stay on there and it works right, then that's all that matters. So anyway, all right, folks, now we've also got to wire in a rectifier. Okay, now this is going to convert the voltage coming from the charging coils. Okay, it's going to convert it over, and from AC to DC. And so we will be wiring. I will be showing y'all how to wire that up later on. We've got, as you know, we've got a horn that's going on there. We've got to wire that up. That has got to be wired with a relay, and this is a pretty heavy duty relay. Hopefully it's not too much, but I do have a ulterior motive for using such a heavy duty relay. And the reason is because I think I want to mount this relay down close to the starter, and this could serve as a backup solenoid or starting solenoid for the starter on this thing. Okay, meaning that if the factory one that's on the starter goes out, this could just be simply unplugged from the horn, hooked onto the starter, and serve as a starting relay as well. So it would get you out of a pinch. Okay, and it's good and heavy duty and would probably last a long time. The other thing that we've got here is, I don't know if I'm actually going to put it on there because this one is not waterproof. I'm looking for something maybe a little more waterproof, but I think it would probably be very nice to have something like this on the bike. Wouldn't you say so? Okay, folks, now this all is just some of the things that we've got to get wired in on this bike. I don't know if we'll get it all done today. Probably not. And so, anyway, that's what we're going to be doing in today's video, and welcome back. All that still works. So somehow we have to find the wire for the brake lights. Okay, I'm gonna kill the camera again, and because I can't make the video but so long, so y'all can't stay here with me for every bit of this. Alrighty, folks. So I got everything figured out. It was a nightmare, but I did it, and I'll tell you now, the main reason that I was having such a problem is the electric controllers that I bought were really made for a motorcycle. This is a mini bike, and the kill switch doesn't work the way you would think that it would. The main reason is on a mini bike engine, you're actually grounding out the coil, which is what kills the engine. So, and on a motorbike, you're breaking a circuit. So that's not going to work exactly right. We will still have to put a kill switch, and the other thing is the what I'm calling a brake lever over there is actually a clutch lever, although you can use it for a brake lever. But the electrical part of it doesn't really send the signal. It's not set up to send a signal for a brake light over there. So I'm gonna have to do a little wiring to make that work. The other brake light does work, but that brake light doesn't work. But I got that figured out. In fact, I've got everything figured out. Right now, what we got to do is we got to get everything marked and labeled so that we can actually start running the wires the way they need to be ran. And it's going to have to be labeled because there's just no way I can remember every single thing on there. Anyway, let's get to labeling. In order to kill the engine on the mini bike, we need it to where this button is separate from the start button. Right now, the way this thing is wired in, the power comes in through here, and when you've got that in the off position, okay, you have to cut the button on, and then that lets power go down to this button down here for the start. Okay, now that will work, but when you go up here and you go to kill the engine, it's not going to kill the engine, because in order to kill a lawnmower type engine, you have to provide a ground. The button is providing a ground is what you need. So what we are fixing to do is we're going to take this thing apart. I'm going to see if I can cut the wire that goes from this to this so that these two are no longer tied together, and if this will still receive power. I'm thinking maybe through the brown and yellow wire. This brown and yellow wire is engaged by that switch, and so that's what I'm wondering is, can I put power in one of these wires that will feed power to this button, and then back out through the green, and the green one here is the one that goes down to the starter. So basically, I would be just cutting one wire, and I may have to pull a wire back through here to provide a different wire, an extra wire. It's pretty complicated, isn't it, folks? So that's what I'm doing. Okay, we got that apart. Now, as you can see, the brown wire with the yellow stripe is over there. But this switch came with an option of having it over there. Sometimes when you solder, what you want to do is load up your soldering iron. That's what I just did, is I put a dab of solder on it. Okay, and it's sitting there, it's holding that solder. And see how I did that? I dropped that drop of solder right onto that contact where it needed to be, and then I set my wire down in it and let it sit there and cool down, and it's soldered together. So you're doing that with two hands, where if you were doing it the other way, you'd need three hands to do it, to try to hold the solder gun, the wire, and the solder itself all at the same time. Is a bit complicated, but see, now that is soldered on there, we're good to go. Okay. Now here we go. So that works. That'll be the kill switch. So there we go. We got that one done. All we gotta do is put it on the bike, wire it in. Okay, folks, so what we got here is a wiring harness that I got off of, I think maybe I got it off an old treadmill. It could have been something else, I don't remember, but I kept it just in case if I needed it. It's got all the little plugs and everything on it, and shoot, even all the wires were the same color except for the orange one. I had to use the white one. But anyway, we'll be able to plug in the light, and it's even got a little pigtail here for ground for the lights, and we'll just we'll ground that right in there somewhere, and then this will run right up under here. I think it'll work good. Okay, folks, so when we got the headlight, okay, with it being the original light for this bike, it was set up on a single element bulb, okay, and we're using an LED bulb, a more modern bulb that has bright and dim, okay, and so that, in other words, the plug will not work on this bulb. So since I don't have a plug, and these lights are notorious for vibrating and bouncing around, so they get loose. So what I've done is I've soldered the wires straight onto the bulb. Now, bulb goes out, all I got to do is pull the bike up here in the shop, pop the headlight out, stick my soldering gun right on there, and just pull the wire out of the solder. Solder a new one right back on there. Or if I ever get the right plug that fits this type of a bulb, then at that point I could put it on there and put it back together. But I mean, this is never going anywhere. Not until the bulb goes out. So anyway, that's what we're doing. Now then, we've got our rectifier. We've got to get it mounted on here. Now, I don't know how well y'all can see this, but right down here is the two wires that are coming from the stators that we put in. Okay, so we already have our two wires right there. We have our battery right here. I think a good spot would be right up in front of the motor. We've got the rectifier. I've got that wired up. I've got a little piece of this wire protector. Just to kind of keep all the wires together, you know, make it look a little bit better. And I think I've got a good spot for it. It's going to be pretty simple. We just spin it around. I've drilled a hole right here through for the engine, the front of the engine plate. I've drilled a small hole, and I've got a really good heavy self-tapping screw, and it'll just go on right there. Now if it does get loose later on, I can put a bolt and a nut on there. There we go. Stupid simple. So we've got all our charging wired in. And we still got this is the starter wire. We've got to run it. And we've got our ground for a kill wire that goes to the coil. And so we're going to get all that wired up next. Hey folks, we got us a ignition switch. The one that came with the starter kit that came with this here bracket, it didn't have an accessory. All it had was the start position on it, and I wanted an accessory so I can cut everything off so that there will be no power going to anything on the bike until I cut the key on. Okay, it comes with a real key. I don't remember what I paid for it. I'll have to look at the receipt. It's probably around $20. It comes with 4 extra keys. They're real keys. And, you know, you can go backwards if you just want power to something on the bike. Or you can go forward. Another thing that somebody might want to know about this switch, another reason that you want to get a good switch, you can wire in your lights and everything over here. And if you go to crank the engine, what will happen is, so when I turn the key on, I've got power to everything. Okay? Now, if my lights or anything were on, what this switch here will do is when you go to actually crank over the engine to start it, it actually momentarily cuts the power to everything else except for the starter. And I don't know if you can hear this beeping or not, but you'll see that. Let me get it up here a little closer. When I turn the key to start, the beeping will stop. meaning that anything that was turned on, anything that's getting power, is going to lose power so that you get full power to the starter. Okay? Now, over here though, this is where you would put your ignition. Okay? If you've got something that needs to have power when the motor is spinning over in order to crank, this one will not lose power when you turn the key over. See? It's still beeping. So anyway, I just thought somebody might need to know that.